in the desire to please Lord Krishna. The quality of being indifferent to material acquisition. Because a pure devotee of Lord Krishna is desireless, he is naturally indifferent to material acquisition. Material facilities may come and go, but that does not concern him in the least. Srila Prabhupada once pointed out to his disciples that if he had simply sat beneath a tree and preached, very few people would have come to listen. Therefore, to effectively deliver the message of Lord Krishna, he constructed beautifully ornate temples. At no time, however, was he desirous of settling in comfortably to enjoy these facilities, choosing instead to follow a rigorous schedule of traveling and preaching that even the youngest and healthiest of his disciples could not keep pace with. Without material possessions. A pure devotee of Lord Krishna is always diving and surfacing in the ocean of spiritual happiness. The Vedic literatures explain that one drop of this happiness is millions of times greater than the small happiness afforded by material sense gratification, or even the pleasure derived from liberation from material existence. A pure devotee never depends on the accumulation of material possessions for his happiness. He accepts only what is necessary to perform devotional service and maintains full awareness that all these facilities are actually the property of the Lord. During Srila Prabhupada's years spent in Vrindavan, India, preparing for his eventual journey to the West, he lived very simply in a tiny room in the courtyard of the famous Radha Damodar temple. After preaching vigorously in the West for a number of years, Srila Prabhupada had access to much opulence, yet he never claimed any of it as his own, and he used every penny in the service of Lord Krishna. The quality of being fixed in devotional service. When Srila Prabhupada was instructed by his spiritual master to preach Krishna consciousness in English, he took his order as his life and soul and fixed his determination upon carrying it out diligently. Founding the Back to Godhead magazine in 1944, Srila Prabhupada single-handedly attended to its publication and distribution for many years, never once deviating from his sincere effort to please his spiritual master. As a result of Srila Prabhupada's fixed determination, all of his preaching activities were crowned with glorious success, and even now in his physical absence, his followers carry on his work all over the world. Without false prestige, or in other words, humility. Srila Prabhupada's humility was inconceivably deep and heartfelt, and it inspired a generation of young men and women who had based their lives on the rejection of authority to willingly accept his authority. Srila Prabhupada never took credit for his many successes, always preferring to acknowledge his spiritual master, Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, and the assistance given to him by his disciples, Srila Prabhupada's disciples. During one lecture, Srila Prabhupada touched the hearts of his disciples when he stated that he considered them to be representatives of his spiritual master, sent to assist him in his preaching mission. By this expression of sincere gratitude, anyone pursuing the spiritual path should aspire to follow in his footsteps in this regard. Grave. Srila Prabhupada once explained to a group of his disciples that a devotee of Lord Krishna is always grave. Upon hearing this, one devotee, a very colorful and effusive person, decided to tone down his disposition and became straight-faced in an attempt to please his spiritual master. After a few days of this behavior by his disciple, Srila Prabhupada looked at him quizzically and asked him what was the matter. The disciple replied that he was trying to be grave. At that, Srila Prabhupada laughed and explained to him that being grave means to be serious about Krishna consciousness. It has nothing to do with artificially repressing one's individuality. Srila Prabhupada himself was a most vibrant personality. His life abounded with laughter and spiritual enjoyment. Yet he was always serious about Krishna consciousness. He never forgot Lord Krishna, not even for one moment, and in this way he displayed perfect gravity. Not defiant. When Srila Prabhupada first met his spiritual master, Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, Srila Prabhupada was a supporter of Mahatma Gandhi's effort to free India from the clutches of British rule. During that meeting, the two engaged in a discussion, during which Srila Prabhupada expressed his view that to be spiritually potent, India first needed to be politically free. Srila Bhaktisiddhanta responded by using sound logic and scriptural evidence to prove that Krishna consciousness alone could rid India, as well as the rest of the world, from all forms of material suffering. Because Srila Prabhupada was not defiant, being endowed with all humility and respect, he graciously surrendered to Srila Bhaktisiddhanta's infallible conclusion and accepted him as his spiritual master. From this transcendentally instructive pastime, we can see how a pure devotee of Lord Krishna is never defiant, and also how we must conduct ourselves in the presence of genuinely advanced Vaishnavas. Srila Prabhupada was a personal associate of Lord Krishna, capable of giving spiritual guidance to the entire world. He was always surrendered to the lotus feet of his spiritual master, and never evinced even a hint of defiance in his character. Respectful. This is a very beautiful pastime of Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada was respectful to all living beings because he saw them as parts and parcels of the Supreme Lord Krishna, with whom he was fully in love. During his extensive preaching tours, he was usually greeted at temples by adoring throngs of devotees and guests. On one such visit to the New York City Temple in 1976, as he strode gracefully down the center aisle amid a multitude of beaming devotees assembled in the front lobby, they all paid obeisances to him, as is the custom when receiving a worshipable guest. At that time, a young devotee boy, who had innocently bowed down too far into the aisle, was eased backwards by the older devotee next to him, so as not to obstruct the path. When Srila Prabhupada reached the boy, he stopped, placed his hand on the boy's head, and looked at him with affection, as if to make sure that his feelings had not been hurt. In this instance, and in all of his personal dealings, Srila Prabhupada treated everyone he met with the utmost respect, thus softening their hearts and rekindling their spiritual sentiments. Equal to everyone. A pure devotee of Lord Krishna sees the spiritual nature of all beings, regardless of their temporary material forms. He observes